Dear representative of the press, dear Konstantinos, thank you for hosting us in this sunny Lemesos. We had very open and very good discussions, like it is usual for the Gymnich format. First, we discussed the situation in the Middle East, together with the Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal and India's Minister of External Affairs Jaishankar. Both countries play an important role through their extensive diplomatic engagement across the region, and it was good to hear their views. I mean, it was very eye-opening also for us and to see what more can we do together. On Iran, the Strait of Hormuz remains caught in a dangerous grey zone between war and peace. There is now a tenuous diplomatic push underway to extend the ceasefire and reopen the strait. But any first phase agreement between US and Iran must be followed by deeper talks about the nuclear stockpile, but other critical issues for regional security. The EU can contribute with technical expertise when it comes to nuclear talks, for example. The EU is helping to protect the freedom of navigation in the region, including through Operation Aspides. We have already reinforced the mission with more ships, but additional capabilities will be required if we want to do more. At the same time, the EU is stepping up our security and defense cooperation with the Gulf countries. Beyond Iran, we also discussed other issues in the Middle East and other crises. In Lebanon, the ceasefire appears to be more nominal by the day. Return to full-scale war is a real possibility. We also discussed Gaza and the West Bank, including possible restrictions on the trade linked to settlements, and sanctions to ministers was also raised. But as Gymnich format is a place where we don't do decisions, so we will revert to this issue back to when we are having the Foreign Affairs Council in Luxembourg. Then on Russia. The dynamics of the war are shifting in Ukraine's favor. Russia is on the back foot militarily, economically, but also diplomatically. But as the latest strikes on Kiev have shown, Russia still shows no genuine interest in peace, which was also the clear view of the ministers today. Moscow's direct threat to kill foreign diplomats in Kiev is a public announcement of a war crime. Today, we also discussed our own European core security interests regarding Russia. It is good that ministers had the chance to reflect, and we had really thorough discussions on what concessions Europe should ask from Moscow and what our red lines are. And one thing is very clear. Europe will never be a neutral mediator between Russia and Ukraine, because we are on Ukraine's side and we are defending our own core security interests. I put forward a discussion paper already in February, but just let me recall a few of the points that were there. Unconditional ceasefire is a prerequisite for any kind of peace negotiations. That was also underlined by ministers today. Russia must stop sabotage operations, cyber attacks, election interference, airspace violations across Europe. Limiting Ukraine's military while Russia rearms would directly threaten European security. If there are gaps for Ukraine's army, there must be also limitations for Russia's. There can be no legal recognition of the occupied Ukrainian territory. There must be also accountability, and that is very important. Russia must cooperate with the international investigations and should pay for destruction it has caused. Any peace agreement must fully accept Ukraine's sovereignty, independence, and right to choose its own alliances. And of course, there are broader security concerns when we look at the presence of Russian troops in countries such as Georgia and Moldova. It is clearly in Europe's interest that these forces are no longer stationed there. There are more issues, of course. It was a long paper, but let me leave it there. Also, ministers were proposing some new ideas that should be there. But the bottom line is this. Europe has valid demands to ensure that any peace is lasting, and the ministers asked me to take this work forward. Ministers also discussed how to increase the pressure on Russia globally. Too many countries continue to do business with Moscow while simultaneously enjoying privileged access to European markets and investments. So Europe must use its leverage more effectively when it comes to trade, investment, market access, partnerships. And this is why we are also preparing new sanctions to Russia, to really pressure them so that they would go from pretending to negotiate to actually come to the negotiation table. Overall, there was a strong unity today to defend European interests, to support Ukraine and put more pressure on Russia. So, dear Konstantinos, thank you again for organizing this wonderful meeting, and thank you for the hospitality that you have shown to all of us here. Thank you.